Okay, welcome everybody. We look forward to start sharing with you tonight a wonderful program from Richard Gary, and I'm Kay Schuster, co-president of Hadassah Greater Baltimore, and my partner is going to introduce herself now.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Ellen Sizemore, also co-president of Baltimore with Kay, and I just wanted to share a Hadassah moment with everybody. Hadassah and Giant Merck launch mRNA initiative to fight cancer. The Hadassah Cancer Research Center at Hadassah Hospital in En Karim, the Hebrew University Hadassah Medical School, and the pharmaceutical company Merck have just launched a joint collaboration called Cancer RNA to investigate using messenger RNA technology to treat cancer. According to Professor Lowton, head of the Hadassah Cancer Research Center and Center for Melanoma and Cancer Immunotherapy, everything started with the COVID-19 vaccine. The vaccines taught us how powerful messenger RNA can be. Messenger RNA technology is at the core of both highly successful Pfizer and Moderna COVID-19 vaccines. Professor Lowton believes messenger RNA, with its high level of stability and low incidence of side effects, could be helpful in developing a drug for cancer. She continues, while we all hope that one day we will leave COVID behind us, sadly, there's no chance the cancer will be behind us anytime soon. Therefore, we thought we should take advantage of what we've learned about mRNA and start collaborative effort to use it to cure cancer. Okay?
Somebody has a phone ringing. Okay, I can't hear you. It's weird.
Okay, you're on mute.
Yep. You know how to unmute?
I have to
There you go. There we go. Awesome.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
Richard Gary is the founder of the nonprofit organization, the Institute for Responsible Online and Cell Phone Communication, IROC2. Over the last 13 years, Richard has become one of North America's most sought-after speakers on digital safety and mindfulness. He's also the creator and host of the Public and Permanent podcast, the author of multiple cyber safety and citizenship books, and has been a featured speaker at many national conferences, conventions, and media outlets. Richard, it's all yours.
All right. Thank you so much, ladies. So first of all, I just want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. We have quite a few people on this evening, and that's very encouraging. Just so you know, I am from New Jersey, so I can be kind of loud. I can be a little obnoxious, but I love New Jersey. And most importantly, I talk pretty fast and I'm highly caffeinated this evening. But I am going to try and slow it down because this is a webinar and it's not on stage. So with that said, I just want to go ahead and I want to thank everybody, whether you're a parent or a grandparent out there tonight. We're going to go through a number of topics. But before we do, I just want to let everybody know, I myself have a freshman and a senior in high school. So I am a very empathetic parent. And when I started doing this 13 years ago, I was not an empathetic parent of high schoolers. You know, my kids were babies. And so I really was just starting my journey into the digital world, having kids, but I've pretty much seen it all. And so tonight I'm going to try and make sure that we understand when we leave here, not only can we keep ourselves safe, but how can we keep the kids that we're caring for, our kids and our grandkids, safe as well. And so I'm just going to jump right into it. But I do want to thank you all so much again for your time. And let's get started. What I'm going to give you this evening, I'm going to talk about technology. We passed out technology to everybody on the planet, but we really never gave any uniform thought system on how to use it, right? And so if you think about it, as technology evolves and apps evolve, we just kind of passed all these things out. And then once people got into trouble, we kind of put a label on it, and then we brought everybody in for a workshop. It's almost like we gave everybody on the planet matches and waited for them to burn their houses down, and then brought them in for the fire safety workshop. And so here at IROC, what we believe is, rather than wait for things to happen and and then we call those effects, and you'll hear things like sextortion or sexting. There's a lot of effects out there. Rather than wait for people to get in trouble and assign an effect, What we want to do is fix cause. And the cause of almost every single issue we will hear in a digital world stems from right here, how we're using technology. And so we believe if we can fix this, the way we think about technology as parents, as caregivers, as grandparents, then we can help ourselves and we can help our kids stay safe online. And so what we want to do is we want to pass out or distribute what we call the golden rule of the 21st century. And so a lot of people ask me, well, what is the golden rule of the 21st century? Here it is. The golden rule of the 21st century that everybody should have been given is this incredibly important mindset right here. Hey, am I okay with what I'm about to put into a world that was built for communication, being public and permanent? Now, is this an absolute truth? Does it mean every single text, photo, message, and snap you and I send will absolutely be public and permanent? Of course not. But as we all know watching this, it could be instantly, right? And why? Because that's why we have it. That's why we love it. It's why we use it. Because if something amazing happens to you and you want to share that moment with your friends and your family, somebody overseas, you can literally share it across space and time from the chair you're sitting in. Did something amazing happen in your life and you want to capture that moment forever to one day show your children and your grandchildren? Well, you can in less than a second, and we love you for that. The point is, when humans want to make things go public and permanent, because it will one day help them get into college, get a job, get a scholarship, or flat out be TikTok famous, you can do it. But do you know when problems happen for humans in a digital world? Well, just take a look at the press every single day for the last, 2 decades. It's when a human takes a very powerful tool that they love because it lets them make things go public and permanent when it's going to work for them. But then they start doing things and saying things on the exact same hard drive, the exact same tool, and they don't want what they just said or did to become public and permanent. This is when almost every problem occurs, certainly every self-inflicted challenge. While public and permanent is not an absolute truth, it is the evolution of a very important guideline we have all learned from a very young age. Playing with fire can burn. This right here, this is not an absolute truth. I could fool around with this all day. It doesn't mean I'm going to get hurt. What it means is the chances that I'm going to get hurt are going to go up if I keep abusing a powerful tool. But that's true with any tool, right? A car, a drill, a hammer, a fork. The point is this: if you fool around with tools, risks go up. We get that. Fooling around with some of the most powerful tools on the planet that connect us to billions of people instantly across space and time, risks go way up. Starting today, no matter what it is, if you're holding it, if you're wearing it, it's an app you've heard of or you've never heard of. If you can stop and think, and you can help the next generation stop and think, you know what? I use technology every single day. Why? Well, here's why. We want instant knowledge, we want instant communication, and we want instant permanence. Instant knowledge, communication, and permanence is why technology was built. It's why we have it, love it, buy it, and use it. But here's what humans have to remember. If we are going to love tools because they bring us these things, then we have to remember what we put into a world built for these things, well, it can very quickly happen to our things. If this is our mindset through time with technology and not, by the way, oh my God, what happens if what I just did becomes public and permanent? No, that's how people find themselves in a world of hurt every day. If you don't believe that, I mean, just look at the press, daily for the last 2 decades. If the mindset is, how do I develop skills with tools and platforms that connect me to a planet? And then how do I show the world through those tools and platforms just how incredible I can be? If this is your mindset through time with technology, ladies and gentlemen, then I promise you, through technology's evolution, it doesn't matter what the tool looks like or what the app is called, you're going to be amazing with it. So, ladies and gentlemen, the goal of tonight is really how do we help ourselves and how do we help our kids use technology? And what I'm trying to help you understand through the opening of this video, and as we go through a lot of different topics tonight, is that, listen, tools and apps are always going to change. And of course, we want to know what our kids are using. But as tools and apps continuously change, it's really important that we understand it is the mindset you apply to the power of any tool is what matters. Again, going back to the fire, and I'll say this again throughout the evening. When I light this lighter, it doesn't matter if it's a lighter, a candle, a book of matches. When this comes out of it, we all have a mindset. It doesn't matter how old you are watching this. We all have a mindset to understand how to harness that and to keep our risks low and to keep others' risks low, because we're not new at this element. A long time ago when it was discovered, we passed a mindset down. It's become part of our culture. And now, despite what the tool is, we understand how to harness this and make it work for us. Well, the goal of this evening, as we go through a variety of different topics, the goal of this evening is to help everybody understand that if we can help the next generation use the 21st century flame, regardless of what it looks like, because it will always change, if we can help them apply the right mindset to those tools, then they can open windows of opportunity that past generations never dreamed possible. And so that's what we're here to do tonight. That's what tonight is all about. And we're really going to dive in now. If anybody has any questions about gaming, security, cyber cruelty, social media, or any of the other topics that I'm about to hit on, please do not hesitate to use that Q&A box, because I will not leave here tonight until every single one of your questions is answered. All right. So let's get started. Let's go beyond public and permanent. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about cyber cruelty. Whether you've been a victim of cyber cruelty, somebody you care about, your children, your grandchildren, this is a problem, and it's a problem that is global. And so what I'm going to do tonight is I'm just going to share a few tips that I practice all the time that hopefully will help you. And I practice them all the time because I'm human. And humans get mad, and it's okay if we get mad. But for all of the adults who are on here tonight, which this is largely an adult program for adults and seniors this evening, it's really important we understand that we are setting a role model. We are setting an example as role models. And so we have to think before we act in this world. All right. So here's some things that I do all the time. And by the way, I'm a New York Mets fan. I'm always miserable, especially right now. So I really do practice this all the time. Number one, I can't be in the head of the person I'm about to be cruel to, right? Like, we can't read each other's minds, because if we could read each other's minds, we'd probably be online making a lot of money, but we can't. So how do we know what's going through the head of somebody if we're constantly being cruel to them? And it's important we try and remind our children that if we can't be in the mind of somebody we're being cruel to, how do we know what they're capable of doing, either to themselves? And God forbid they do something to themselves. How do we wake up every day knowing it might have been our actions that contributed to that tragedy? What might they do to me? They're going to show up to work, home, school with a weapon? I mean, ladies and gentlemen, it's sad but true. You don't have to look hard in the press anymore to see people walking into schools and malls and theaters and churches and synagogues in Vegas and Walmart and the United States Capitol with weapons. And so the last thing that any of us or our friends or our family or our loved ones need to do is wind up on somebody's list because we're being cruel to them online. This is a 17-year-old girl who's no longer on our planet over a Facebook post. This gentleman right here is no longer breathing over a tweet. Now, I don't know about anybody else watching this, but I think it is wild that we share a planet with people who are literally willing to take our lives or the lives of our children over social media, but we can't possibly be in their head. So we have to help our kids. We've got to remember to tell them we can't be in their head. So we can't possibly know what they'd be willing to do to us, not to mention what their friends and their family might be willing to do to us. But in addition to what those people who are being cruel to might want to do to us, it's also important we help our kids understand and our grandkids understand there's billions of people on our planet, right? And let's be honest, to our friends and our family, we're awesome most of the time. But to billions of people who don't know us or our children, if we're being cruel online, the only thing we look like to an entire planet of people is a jerk. And it's paramount that we let the next generation understand that jerks don't get opportunities in the 21st century. Why? Well, just look at what we're doing tonight. If COVID taught the world anything, it was that technology eliminated space and time, right? You can go to school, go to work from anywhere. And so if we can go to school or go to work from anywhere, that means organizations can choose people from anywhere. And so now we're not competing locally anymore. We're competing globally. And we really have to help our kids understand what that means. What you're looking at right here is a 17-year-old, but not just any 17-year-old. He was a high school student in a private school in North Jersey. He also happened to be the #1 ranked cornerback in the entire country a few years ago. This young man had a free ride to multiple colleges. One of them was Michigan. Now, if he goes to Michigan for free, which isn't too shabby, he also could play potentially for a guy by the name of Jim Harbaugh. Now, considering where this webinar is being given from, some of you may be from Baltimore. And if you're a Baltimore fan, you probably know Jim's brother, John, who coaches Baltimore. So now you're talking about this kid has a pipeline right into the NFL. Just think for a moment about the blood, sweat, and tears it took to achieve something like that. And not just by the athlete, but by his family to make something like that possible, because that doesn't just happen. How many times did a parent or a caregiver or a grandparent go watch him play, drive to a practice, go out on a Saturday in the rainy day when you'd rather be sleeping? Think of all of the time and the effort that went into earning this. And in 1 second of his life, and I often ask people, just think about how fast 1 second of your existence on earth is. That is how fast it took years of this young man's work to completely disappear because he went online and he said some horrible stuff. Now, he did try to delete his account. He did try to delete his tweets, and you'll see that a lot. You'll see an adult who gets fired from their job because they were behaving badly online. And after they get fired from their job, you know what they do? They try and find a new job because they got bills to pay. And while they're trying to find a new job, they're trying to scrub their social media to try and hide the stuff that got them fired in the first place. But the problem is, for a lot of those people, they don't realize there's ways to undelete that stuff. So in this case, the story I'm telling you right now, this young man, whoever did his background check, knew what they were doing. And they went into a system called Google Cache, which we don't have to get too technical tonight, but Google Cache is one of the many ways that you can actually see things online that people thought they deleted. It's kind of like a Wayback Machine. You can go back and see old versions of websites. And so somebody went back and they saw everything he thought he had deleted, and they undeleted it. And not only did they undelete it, but they put it in the press on this kid. He lost everything for all of us and the next generation to learn from. And as a parent, as a caregiver, as a grandparent, there's nothing we're going to be able to do to help that situation because the PR nightmare is just too big. This young man lost everything for all of us and the next generation to learn from. And while I don't condone what he said was really bad. There's a part of me that questions some of this. And here's why I question its fairness. Because if you actually read about what happened to Uri Wright on ESPN.com at the time of the incident, this is the guidance you're going to see that was coming from his football coach. This is the guidance for a 17-year-old athlete. And by the way, this isn't a 7-year-old. This isn't a 7th grader. This is a 17-year-old athlete. And this is the guidance he's getting from his football coach. Well, we told him, get off Twitter. We told him 10, 15 times, just get off Twitter. Here's the reality, okay? We can't tell a 17-year-old kid, hey, just get off social media if we're going to put this in his hand. That's kind of like, that's not guidance. That's like saying, hey, when you get your license, go get your license. Did you pass driver's ed? That's awesome. Congratulations. Here's the keys to your brand new car. But you know what? Yeah, I'm not going to let you drive it. That's not right. What his coach, parents, friends, family, teachers, what everybody needed to be saying to this kid and practicing as a role model for this kid way before he was 17, by the way, before they ever even had a thought about putting something this powerful into his hands, they had to give him a thought system first on how to harness that power. If you think about even when you were growing up and think about how our kids are growing up today, like I know when I was growing up, through middle school and high school, we were learning about drugs, alcohol, smoking, today vaping, sexual health, right? We give a lot of information so we can try and prevent issues. But as I said earlier, in this world, we didn't do that. We just passed out very powerful tools to everybody, waited for him to get in trouble, slapped the label on it, and then brought everybody in for the assembly. Again, it's like giving everybody matches, waiting for him to burn their house down, and then bring him in for the workshop on fire safety. If somebody, before they put something this powerful into his hands, gave him a thought system first on how to use it, how to harness that power. Hey, look, man, when I give this to you, right, you earn this. Well, whether you use your tool or your friends, because I took yours away. You're going to use an app I've heard of or I've never heard of because the app came out yesterday. Are you okay with what you will do and say on tools and platforms that connect you to a planet through time? Are you okay if it winds up public and permanent? More importantly, are you making that work for you? Because ladies and gentlemen, if this was the mindset that was installed in his age, in his mind at a young age, and if you go into any elementary school in this country, third graders are going to tell you they're in social media. So through elementary, middle, and high school, if this was the mindset he had, am I making this work for me? Then maybe he's posting awesome stuff. So when it comes time for his background check, man, he doesn't lose the scholarship. He gets a better one. You know, there was a young man out of Boston. He always wanted to go to UCLA. So instead of being told, hey, just don't use social media, what he was told was, he was given guidance. If you're going to use social media, a platform that connects you to the entire planet, make sure you're using it to show the planet how awesome you can be. So he did. This kid went to Twitter as a high school senior, and he wrote this: top 50 reasons I should go to UCLA. And then he started listing every single one of them. Well, somebody at the university saw it. They loved it. They wrote an article about him. And this young man right here will tell you he truly believes in his heart, despite what the school or anybody else will tell you publicly. He truly believes that one of the many reasons he got into that university was because of that Twitter campaign right there. The point is, I could stand here all night and I could tell you about people who have done amazing things with technology. I could also show you people who have closed their windows of opportunity. The point is this: you, me, your children, and your grandchildren, we never become the statistic of pitfalls based on our decision-making if we are not putting cruelty and exploitive content online. And our risks from third parties, people who want maybe want your kid's spot in college, want their job. There are risks of those people finding it and saying, university admissions, I want to go to your school. And I know this person applied too. Look at all the horrible stuff they're posting online. Take me instead. Coach, you really going to give this person a scholarship? Look at all the horrible stuff they're posting online. Take me instead. Not to mention, if a hacker finds stuff that we don't want the world to see, they might hold it over their head and say, you're going to do whatever I want, or I'm going to show this to whoever does you the most damage. The point is, all of those risks disappear if we're not throwing cruelty and exploitive content online. And so the only thing we're going to do, and we're going to help our children do as role models, what we're going to do is help them open windows of opportunity and do incredible things, because they're growing up with technology. They're growing up with it all around them. And so, yes, of course, we want to shield them until they're ready. But when they're ready, we want to make sure that they're using it the right way. And this is one of the many ways we can do that. Now, gaming, okay, is super huge. It's one of the most important parts of the program these days. My odds say that if you have a child in your home or a grandchild who comes to your home, they're gaming in some way, shape, or form. And so what we want to do is make sure that while they're gaming, they're staying safe, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you a tip right now that you can bring into your home, so that when you or your children or your grandchildren are gaming, you can keep the risks low. Now, really quickly, I am not here to say don't talk to people in gaming. Now, if that's the rule in your home, then that's the rule in your home, and your children have to respect that. But what I'm not going to do is just say don't talk to people in gaming, because as an advocate, I just can't come in and say that, because there are people who allow their kids to communicate in gaming. Plus, if I had $1 for every kid, because when I travel across the country, if I had $1 for every kid who tells me, well, I'm not supposed to communicate in gaming, but I do it at my friend's house or when I'm at school, I'd have a lot of money. Let's just leave it there. So what I'm going to do is not say don't talk to people in gaming. I'm going to tell you how you and your kids can keep your risks low. And here's how you do it. All right. Say to your child or your grandchild this: if we would not say it or take it from a stranger in the local arcade, like Dave and Buster's, then please do not say it or take it in the global arcade. Because the only difference between the local arcade and the global arcade is that there are billions of people in the global arcade. And when humans start oversharing personal information in the digital world, that is when risk levels will skyrocket. So the tip is this: please keep the conversation to the game, and only the game as much as possible. You have a Post-it note, put a Post-it note on the gaming system. Keep conversation to game, because if we can keep our conversation to the game, we keep our risks extraordinarily low and our entertainment high. For example, let's say we were all going to go to Dave & Buster's, right? And I say this to high school kids all the time, and I will say this when I do the student program next week. I say to high school kids all the time, even middle schoolers, I'll say, let's say we're going to go to Dave & Buster's, okay? And I'm going to pay for your whole night. I just want you to babysit a third grader for about an hour. Not a bad deal. So now that third grader rolls up to a race car game. And it's one of those race car games where it's one console, but it's connected to 7 to 10 more cars. So it's one long line of cars in Dave & Buster's. And now that third grader is in that car racing. They're having an awesome time, right? And maybe they look to the person to the right because they want to see if they're winning the race. And when they look to the right, they notice the person is going the wrong way. So then maybe they want to be nice. And they're like, hey, you're going the wrong way. Maybe the person to the left turns to the third grader and they're like, hey, you won the race. Great job. Well, I often ask middle schoolers and high schoolers, I'm like, so if the person to the left talked to that third grader, or the third grader talked to the person on the right in the way that I just said that, I mean, are we calling 911? Are we freaking out that this third grader just told somebody they were going the wrong way? Or the person on the left said, hey, great race? No, we're not calling 911 and we're not freaking out, even though these are two complete strangers. And why are we not freaking out? Because they're talking about the race. And this happens all the time, online and off. But I'll often ask a room of students, I'll be like, so if that person turned to that third grader and said, by the way, great race, where do you live? Where do you go to school? What's your cell phone number? Here's a box, take it. I say, you going to give them that personal information or take that box? You know what every person says to me? No. But the same human that will look you in the eyes and they'll tell you they would not take a box from a stranger out there, you will watch them download a link from a complete stranger in here and then get hacked in a game like Roblox 10 minutes later, putting themselves, their friends, their family's security at risk. So again, the tip is this: if you do allow your children to communicate in gaming, or even if you don't, but you think that they might be, please just tell them, keep the conversation to the game. Be aware enough to know if people are trying to pick you for personal information. Because if you can do that, the same mindset you would have out there at Dave & Buster's, have it in here, then risks stay really low. Entertainment stays really high. And frankly, that's the point of gaming, right? Is to have fun. So please pass that tip along. All right, some other things I really want to get into with you this evening. Security. Security is a massive issue these days. And like I was just saying about how kids will get hacked in Roblox and they'll put people with security at risk. Well, that's just one in many ways that we face risk as adults and a lot of seniors as well. And so a couple of things that I want to show you this evening to help you avoid some pitfalls when it comes to security and risks in the digital world. Right off the bat, it's really important you have some form of security on both your PC, your Mac, and your mobile. You know, a lot of people don't understand the importance of security on mobile, but I often ask people, especially like students or even parent nights when I do them live, do you think more people use computers or do you think more people use mobile? And you know what everybody says? Mobile. So if you're a hacker, are you going after a PC? Are you going after mobile? So it's really important we have some form of security on our mobile devices. You can go into the App Store or Google Play and you can just do a search for security and you will see some of them on the screen right now. Norton, McAfee, there's a Malwarebytes, there's a lot of different ones, and you can read about what you're looking for. And then it's in the App Store and Google Play, so they should be secure. There's also user reviews that you can read, but it's really important that we at least have something on there to scan. Also, just so you know, Verizon, AT&T, a lot of times your phone will actually be preloaded with security. Most people just don't know it's there. So if you look through your phone and like, for instance, if you have Verizon, there will be a thing called Verizon Security or My Security. And you can use that. But some other things that I wanted to talk about tonight. Another security issue that a lot of folks find themselves facing is they go onto public Wi-Fi. If any of you watching this tonight have ever been in an airport, a Starbucks, a hotel, and you go onto the public Wi-Fi, it's really important, you know, you probably have to do a little accept button. And when you hit that accept button, what you're accepting is risk, because what they're letting you know is that other people can see what you're doing if you're on that Wi-Fi. And so what you want to do is you want to get what's called a VPN, a virtual private network, if you don't already have one. And there's one on the screen right now, and I'm going to drop the link to what's on the screen right now into the chat box for you. And this will take you to this article by PC Mag. And these are some of the best virtual private networks you can get in 2022. Personally, I use Norton VPN because Norton is tied into my security. So I just have one suite and it wraps it all. But if you go to the site I showed you, you will see a variety of different VPNs. I hear a lot of really good things about NordVPN. For those of you who don't know what a VPN, it is a virtual private network. And without getting too technical, to keep things very basic, the way VPNs work, when you log into Wi-Fi, you open up your VPN and you turn it on, right? You literally just push a button and you turn it on. And what your VPN is going to do, it's going to create a tunnel. And it's going to create a tunnel between you and the websites you're browsing. So anybody else on that Wi-Fi, that airport, that Starbucks, that hotel Wi-Fi, they are not going to be able to see you because the VPN is going to hide you. The VPN will work on Macs, yes. So a lot of people have Macs, they don't think they need security, but this is not true. Mac's ecosystem for mobile is smaller and therefore more secure than Android, but it is not immune. So to the individual who just asked the question, yes, it is not a bad idea to put security on your mobile, even if it is iOS or Mac. Now, I don't want you to get confused. Security, like Norton, is security that will scan your computer for viruses and spyware. VPNs are for when you're going to not use your data and you're going to go onto public Wi-Fi, all right? And that's that little tunnel that we created. So take a look at the link that I sent you and you can review on your own time, because I know you don't want to be here all night. You can take a look at some of the best VPNs that are out there. Again, there's a lot of reputable ones. Some are on this list, some are not. Everybody has a different budget. But a VPN, if you're not going to be using your data when you're out at an airport or a hotel, it's very, very important. Some other scams and other issues that are taking place in the digital world are emails and texts. They're getting really good. I want to show you the text scam on your screen right now. That's an actual text scam that came into me just the other day. Actually, I think it was just yesterday. M&T Bank, for your protection, we blocked your account. So right off the bat, I knew this was a scam because I don't use M&T Bank, but some of you might, right? The first thing you would want to do when you get a text like that, you want to make sure, one, that you actually have an account on that website or on that bank in this case. I knew I didn't, so I immediately blocked that number. You're going to notice that there's a link in that text. Please do not ever, ever get scared or anxious or worried and click that link, because that's what the text is counting on. A lot of times scammers are counting on making us scared or playing on our fears. or just trying to get us unraveled, and then they get us to click that link in haste. Please don't ever click that link. Had I clicked that link, my phone would have been infected with spyware, and whoever infected it could have had access to everything on my phone. So what you want to do is, if you have an account at M&T Bank, you want to take a deep breath, go to M&T Bank, the actual real website, call their customer service line and ask them if there's a problem with your account. But please do not ever click that link or respond to that. Don't even hit reply, block the number, okay? Now, if you look at the next picture on there, you're going to see an email scam. This came in from Geek Squad. Now, again, I used Geek Squad years ago, so that's, maybe that's how they got my email through the database. But again, this is very clever because it's thank you for using Geek Squad, and it gives me my subscription details. And then it gives a link in the email. If I click that link, right, because it says that I signed up, they're just going to infect my computer with spyware. And this goes back to why it's so important that you have antivirus or anti-spyware, like a Norton or a McAfee, some of the things that you see here. This is why it's so important, just in case you actually did click that link. I'm going to show you a couple of other emails real quick, and these are actual real emails and real stories. Now, this one came in from Norton, all right? And again, these are prevalent and they're rampant right now. So maybe this hasn't happened to you, but please share this with your loved ones because this is happening to a lot of people. So right off the bat, this came in from Norton. And as I'm reading it, what it says is that it's given me a 3-year subscription and it charged me $315. So right off the bat, I'm like, wait, whoa. I didn't sign up for Norton, right? And so it says, if you don't pay, renew date and everything else, the renew date, the expiry date. So I'm going to freak out. Now, I'm not going to go all the way down because this is being recorded, but they actually do have a lot of my personal details in here, personal information, which makes it actually look legit. Well, I'm going to give you a true story. A relative of mine actually called the number because they were like, I didn't order this. I do not want this on my machine. I don't want you to charge my card $315. When they called the number, the individual said, no problem, sir. We can get that off your machine. You just have to give us access to remote hands. Remote hands is basically them taking control of the device. And they said, if we can take control of your device, we can remove it. We'll cancel it. Don't worry about it. And he realized right before he gave them access to their his hard drive, wait a minute, I'm not going to give a complete stranger access to my hard drive. But you'd be surprised. Like, this is actually a very, very successful scam right here. So if you ever get an email like this, again, even if you've never used Norton, you can call Norton. There is a number on their real site and say, hey, I got this email. Is this legit or not? And they will probably, more often than not, they're going to tell you no. Another way you can tell an email is a scam right off the bat, the antivirus, anti-spyware I have caught the image. So the image never even downloaded. The reason that they caught that image and it didn't download is because you can actually hide spyware or malware in imagery. So if that image downloads and there's hidden code in it, it could also infect my computer. So my security caught that. And then the last thing I want to show you is, and I'm going backwards here for a reason. If you look at the from, sometimes people look at the body and they see the number, right? $315, and they kind of get excited and they freak out and they call, they click the link. But look at the from, it's somebody's Gmail account. So I know right off the bat, even though it says Norton invoice number and it looks totally legit downstairs, upstairs, it says from a Gmail account. So I knew right off the bat that that was a scam. But again, that's me. And that's not everybody. And so it's really important. A couple of things, again, if you get this: 1, never call the number. 2, never click the link if there is one. 3, look at the sender. Is it a credible sender? And 4, call the actual company if you believe there's something wrong. The last thing I'm going to show you is something very similar. So if you look at the email address send here, I have no idea. Linux.com, maybe that's legit. I don't know. It says there's a parcel arrived from me and it's coming to my email. So, okay, they have my email address. It's at our office, now I don't use DHL, but somebody's, sending it to me. So I'm like, oh, well, what could this be, right? This right here is a link I would not want to click because that could infect me. Then they have an image here. Don't want to download that. Don't want to click that because, again, that could infect the network. Then it says view the entire message. That is definitely going to be spyware. But the most important part is if I click this right here, and I'm on a live right now, so I'm not going to click it. But if I actually click this right now in this webinar, this computer I'm speaking to you on would be infected with spyware unless my security was able to catch it. So here's what they're counting on here, okay? Hey, you got a package. Hey, it's at our office. This is how you get it. Click this thing, download the shipping doc and bring it, and then you can claim your whatever it is. In some cases, it's a prize. In some cases, it's a shipment. Again, going back to what I said earlier, 1, please don't click anything. 2, call the company if you believe this is legit. And 3, you might want to tell your friends and family about this, all right? So these are just a few of the scams that are going around that I wanted to make very clear this evening, because they're happening a lot, and a lot of people are losing a lot of money. And these scams are getting way better because they are using our personal information, because they're buying databases off of the dark web. You know, when you hear about hacks and emails are compromised, names are compromised, that's how they're getting this information, which is how they're able to put that into some of these emails that look totally legit. All right. So that's it for security. Security issues also happen in social media, right? How many times maybe if you have a friend in Facebook that got hacked, if you ever get a message from somebody in Facebook that says, hey, I know you, or hey, I saw that about you, chances are if it's piquing your interest or making you nervous, your friend didn't send it, your friend was hacked. Please don't ever click it. Best thing you can do if you ever get a message from somebody in social media is call them, text them if you can, or go to their Facebook page, the actual Facebook page, and maybe write them a comment. Hey, did you send me a message? Because more often than not, if it's curious, it's not them. So social media, I'm not here to kill social media, by the way. Getting online, saying something like, oh, I had an awesome day at school, awesome day at work, my vacation was amazing, my weekend rocked. Single, not single. It's complicated. Express yourself. That's why you got it. But there are a lot of people who go into social media and they post some wild stuff, right? And when you ask somebody, you know, who's in trouble and they come to you for help, and you want to help them learn from their mistakes, you know, and as a parent and a caregiver, the advice I would give is, if you have communication with your child, which you always should. People say, when is my child ready for a phone? Your child's ready for a phone when you are 100% sure they will go to a trusted adult with a problem. Because far too often we give kids a device that connects them to 4 billion people instantly, and then something happens and they don't have anybody to go to. This is when very small problems turn very big very quickly. And so people ask me all the time, when is my child old enough? When you are 100% sure they have at least one trusted adult that they can go to. And if it's not you, they will come to you and tell you about it so that you can help them. All right. It's really, really important. So when people do come to me and they say, you know, I need your help, and I look at what they did, I'm like, okay, that could be a problem, but let's start minimizing the damage. You don't ever want to yell at them, because if we yell at them, they're going to break trust. They're going to be like, I can't go back to them because they're going to scream at me again. So we take a few deep breaths. We listen to them, because it took a lot of courage for them to tell us. And then when they tell us, we look at the problem and we say, okay, right now we're going to take a look at this problem and we're going to try and minimize the damage. And that's goal 1, minimize the damage. All right. But oftentimes, you know, when I say to kids, I'll say, so did you know that thing could get out, that thing that's all over the place? Did you know that what you just did could have been seen by the world? This is what a lot of kids will say. They'll say, yeah, I knew it could get out, but I thought only my husband, only my wife, only my boyfriend, only my girlfriend, only my best friend, only my followers, only my friends would see. If there's anybody watching this tonight who believes only my friends can see in this world, I am sincerely begging you from one human being to another to please stop. Like, in all sincerity, I know I don't know all of you personally, but I'm telling you, I swear to God, I care about each and every one of you, and I care about your children and your grandchildren. You don't leave the corporate world to go into a nonprofit where you get paid far less money to be away from your family far more time. On average, I do about 300 programs or 200 programs a year for 13 years. Last year, my tour was 311 days. And that's a lot of time away from your family. And you don't leave your family and do that, sacrifice that, unless you really care about something. And I really care about you, and I care about your children and your grandchildren, because I think what's happening to them in this world on many levels is not right. You know what I hear from an adult every day in my life? And by the way, this is not a judgment on any adults watching this. I'd be lying to you if I said I never thought this. But this is the mindset of a lot of adults who hand their kids as kindergarten a tool that connects them to 4 billion people. See if this statement sounds familiar to anybody watching. Are you ready? Man, thank goodness technology wasn't around when I was growing up. Right? But the thing is, our kids are growing up with it. They're one of the first generations to grow up with it. And when the world put rapidly evolving tools with rapidly evolving platforms into their hands, the world didn't give them a roadmap to go with it. Do you know what the world said to the entire generation of youth? You're going to write the roadmap through your actions as we head towards the metaverse. And if something bad happens to you, yeah, that does stink. We're going to slap a label on it. And your kids will learn about your mistakes in their health class, like we learned about the health effects of smoking in our health class. But hey, thanks for coming out and being the first users. I think that's pretty tough what happened in generations of kids, which is why I do this job. If anybody after today ever says to you again, only my friends can see in this world, again, please remember some of the things I'm going to show and tell you today. Because how fast can one of your friends or family members take a picture of you, create a status update about you that could get you in a world of hurt, and not because they mean to. This is your friends and your family I'm talking about. It's because they truly believe in their heart that only your friends are going to see it. For example, maybe you're going on vacation this weekend and one of your relatives knows it. So one of your relatives goes to your Facebook page. So this isn't you or your kids. This is one of your relatives that goes to your Facebook page and they write this: hey, have an awesome time on your trip this weekend. You know what? Now a lot of people know you're not home this weekend. You know, there was a guy in Ohio. He came up to me after a parent night one night and he told me a story. And I always try and remember to tell it when I'm talking to parents only. And this is the story he tells me. You ready? He worked for a tech company, by the way, called Buckeye Broadband out in Ohio. He goes, so half my family, they live within 90 minutes of each other here in Ohio, but they don't get to see each other very often because they're always busy doing sports and other things on the weekends. He said, so time was passing and it was getting kind of nuts that they were not seeing each other. So they said, you know what? We're going to do a family reunion at a local hotel, kind of like a staycation, right? So they booked the hotel and now everybody's excited. And they're all on Facebook and they're like, hey, I'm going to check in on this date and I'm going to check out on this day. I'm going to stay an extra day. Hey, are we going to use the pool? Hey, I'm bringing potato salad. And they're all so excited. And while they're all on Facebook talking about their big family reunion, what they didn't realize was other people could see what they were saying. And other people who could see what they were saying, one of those people happened to be a burglar. So while they were all at the family reunion eating the potato salad in the pool, half their houses were being burglarized. So here's 2 quick pro tips for everybody watching, okay? I'm not saying don't post from when you're on vacation or when you're going away. I get it. We're standing in like, Disney World or we're on a beach. We want to post. I get that. If you want to post from vacation, that's cool. But maybe turn off the geotags. Now, if you're in Disney World in front of Cinderella's castle, that's going to be pretty obvious. But try and remember to turn off the geotags, your location tags, when you make that post while you're on vacation. But also try and remember to use past tense language. Because if you're on the beach and you say, hey, we had an amazing vacation, and somebody's scrolling through your feed, then it looks like you're already back, right? So the rule of thumb, the pro tip is, if you're going to post from vacation, one of the ways that we keep ourselves from posting crazy stuff, things that could cause us problem, is not posting on vacation and using past tense language, because using past tense language will really help keep your risks down. But why are there so many people who are willing to post crazy stuff like that from vacation, telling the world when and where they're not home? Is because we have a lot of people who just do not yet get it, because we're fairly new at technology. Despite how advanced we think we are, we're still fairly new at this. And a lot of people just do not yet get it. And here's what people do not yet get. Once a human puts something into a digital world, there are millions of ways that it can instantly become public and permanent despite passwords and privacy settings. Ladies and gentlemen, passwords and privacy settings in this world are a joke. They are like a curtain. They give the illusion of privacy. The problem from day one, tech companies called them privacy settings, and they set the wrong expectation for an entire generation, which is why you can go back to a site called MySpace, and what you're going to find is that if you go back almost 2 decades to a site called MySpace, you're going to see people getting in trouble back then the same way they're getting in trouble now. Like, the only thing humans have managed to change in almost 2 decades of time is not our mindset, it's the name of the app. And why is it we still have people that are getting in trouble no matter what the app is called as they continue to evolve? Why are people still getting in the same trouble? Is because from day one, tech companies set the wrong expectation and called them privacy settings. Do you know why they did that? Because the word private is more lucrative. It makes them more money. It is very similar to why a cartoon camel used to market cigarettes to kids, because who's going to know any better? We are the first digital generation. This, ladies and gentlemen, is why tech companies are constantly in trouble. What they should have done has just been honest with the public. And here is the honesty, okay? There is no such thing as a privacy setting in a world that was built from the ground up, the inside out for communication. That is a pipe dream. What students are all using, passcodes, pins, and whatever else you're using, what they are called is transparency or visibility settings, because this is all we are all trying to do every day. Every day, we are collectively trying to limit third-party visibility into our windows to the world. This is not a screen, ladies and gentlemen, that you use. This is a window to the world, and it's important we paint that picture very clearly. And it's also important you understand these 2 very important things. 1, windows work 2 ways. If there is a connection out, there is likely a connection in. This is why you see things like Ring doorbell or baby monitors being hacked, and it will get worse before it gets better. And 2, social privacy. Do you know what that's called? It's called an oxymoron. That's the word of the day. It's completely impossible. I'm not saying you shouldn't be using those settings. Please don't misinterpret what I'm saying. You should absolutely still use the settings on everything, games, platforms, tools, everything. But what's important is you drop the word private out of your vernacular and you bring in the word visibility or transparency setting. Make that the standard thought, because it helps us be more prudent with what we put on these devices and platforms. It helps us understand as standard that yes, we might not want it to get out, but we understand that it can, and it helps us evaluate that risk. And you should absolutely still put those settings, those visibility settings on everything, and here's why. Because they do limit your risk. It is the exact same reason that you probably have an alarm on your home or your car if you're watching this. But ladies and gentlemen, for everybody watching this, if you have an alarm on your car, you can have 5 alarms on your car. If somebody wants to go to your car right now while you're watching this and smash your window and take everything off your front seat, how is your car alarm going to prevent that from happening? Next time you go to a public place, if you see a sign that says don't leave valuables in the car, park at your own risk, take a picture of that sign and make that picture a teachable moment. The reason the sign is in that parking lot is because the corporation knows no matter how good the car alarm, there are ways to get things out of the car. And it's no different here. So please understand, no matter how many alarms they put on that device to keep stuff right here, and there are alarms to do that. People use passcodes, they'll use pins, they use biometrics like face IDs and thumbprints and fingerprints, which by default puts our biometrics in somebody's database. The point is, it doesn't matter how many alarms you set on a device to try and keep stuff in, there are still millions of ways that it can get out. And the reason there are still millions of ways, despite all those alarms, like the car alarm, it can get out, is because the device that you put it on was built to send things out. And when we want to be able to communicate fast and easy, we can, and we love it for that. We love that people can come back to us fast and easy. We love that, but we can't have it both ways. You can show me any device you want right now. You can show me any platform you use. You can show me any kind of security you have. You could tell me you have a Ghost app, a Vault. You could tell me you have encryption, VPN, Tor. It doesn't matter. And I could show you 1 million ways how it is on your platform or your device or mine can wind up on this screen in this webinar right now, 1 million. Now, I don't have the time to blow through 1 million ways how I can see what you're doing and you can see what I'm doing, because as long as you have a Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, or data connection, we are in some way connected. I can't possibly show you every way what you and I do in this world can get out. But let's just say I could astound you and I could show you 1 million ways that can happen, because I can talk pretty fast and I am slowing it down for you today. I cannot possibly show you every way what you, me, or anyone else puts in a world of communication can get out. And here's why. Because as we are together today on this webinar, we are static. We are not moving. But do you know what is moving forward and rapidly? Technology. And ladies and gentlemen, every time a new form of technology comes out, a new phone, a new app, a new device comes out, who can tell me, and I know you can't answer me, so just think it, what does that technology almost always make it faster and easier for humans to do with each other? In 11 years, 200 plus times a year, when I ask that question in a presentation, I always get the exact same answer. This is probably what you were thinking, or a synonym thereof. Some people say hack or cyberbully, malicious forms of communication. Communicate is the #1 answer I get all the time. Why? Because you're right. And that answer right there is why there is no such thing as social privacy in the digital world. Because if you, me, or any one of our favorite companies found a way to plug up every hole in our privacy right now, by this time tomorrow, there's going to be a ton more holes. Why? Because every advance in technology is designed to make it faster and easier for us to communicate. It's why we have it, love it, buy it, use it. We actually pay more money for it. For example, if you go into a room of people and you say, do you want to use dial-up, 3G, or 5G? Everybody's going to say 5G, right? Now, 5G is awesome when you want to put something on that device with 5G and you want to get it out fast and easy. 5G is awesome. Use that power to your advantage because you can show the world how awesome you can be. But people tend to forget the other side. When you have 5G speed on that device and you're putting things on it you don't want the world to see, well, the device still has 5G speed and it can get out faster and easier. There are lots of examples that I could give to illustrate this point, but we don't have the time. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to give you an algorithm. The algorithm that I'm going to give you is the foundation for what I call the fishbowl concept. And here's the way the algorithm in the digital world works. You ready? When speed and convenience in communication goes up, and by the way, this is a huge plus for humans. Why? Because the faster you can know anything you want to know, the faster you can talk to anyone you want to talk to, the faster you can save anything that's important to you, the faster you can take a tool or a platform and share your creativity, your gifts, your activism with the world. This is a huge plus for humans if we're using that with wisdom. Like your car gets you home faster than walking, if you're using that speed and convenience with wisdom. But here's what too many people do not yet understand and why we have so many people getting in trouble. Because when speed and convenience goes up, your privacy and mine goes down. And when people start trying to hide things in this digital world that could be catastrophic to them, every day that catastrophic thing becomes faster and easier to get out. Because when speed and convenience goes up, privacy goes down. This is the price humanity must pay for this convenience. Just because you don't put a credit card into your favorite app does not mean you're using it for free. And this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is why we see so many people getting in trouble when apps come out and say through their marketing things like this. Your content is private, encrypted, anonymous, and will disappear until that private, encrypted, anonymous, disappearing content is rolling through social media, rolling through your school, winds up on the dark web in front of a hacker, in front of a cop, in front of a teacher, in front of a parent, or in the 10 o'clock news. Because when speed and convenience goes up, privacy goes down. I'm going to give you a quick example of this, okay? A lot of people have Facebook, a lot of people have Google accounts, and everyone on this webinar knows that there's a lot of sites and games out there that require you to log in to sign up for different services. But the sign up process for a lot of services is a real pain in the butt, right? Like, see if this sounds familiar to you. You have to push sign up, then you have to pick a username. You got to pray to God your username is still available and you're not going to add 4 numbers to it that you're never going to remember. Then you have to do password, confirm password, email, cell phone address, blah, 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 blah. And when you finally get to the bottom of the sign up form, you're praying to God there's no red letters that say you did something wrong, start over. And then even if you clear the first page, there's a CAPTCHA. Are you a bot? Let's find out. Click all the boxes that have cars. And on the bottom, there's 2 boxes and there's 1 car, but that car's bumper, it's splitting 2 boxes. And you're sitting there wondering, which box do I pick? It's a pain in the butt. So you know what a lot of people did instead? They pushed 1 button to log into multiple sites and games. You know what the 1 button was? You see it every day. Log in with Facebook, log in with Google. You know what happened to those people's speed and convenience? Way up. They were able to log in instantly. You know what happened to their privacy? Went way down. They sold or shared their data. Wasn't that long ago, if you didn't have a data connection, you couldn't get online. You were screwed. But today, everybody's got public Wi-Fi, right? The hotel, the airport, Starbucks, grandma, everybody's got public Wi-Fi. So the speed and convenience of getting online went up. You know what happened to people's privacy? I mean, hackers are just sitting in airports and hotels looting people left, right, and sideways because public Wi-Fi is completely unsecure. Privacy went down. Do you know how previous generations have learned the algorithm I'm giving you today? We cannot have our cake and eat it too. So I can't possibly give you all the ways that content can get out. It's infinite. Tomorrow there will be new ways with new technologies. So what I'm going to do for you right now is I'm going to show you some obvious and not so obvious ways that content can get out. But one of the most important things to take out of this is if we can change our thinking from how do I hide something that could be catastrophic to me in a world that was built for communication? Because this is where a lot of humans are right now based on a lot of false marketing and why you see so many people getting in trouble. But if we can change the mindset and the expectation to, how do I take a tool that connects me to an entire planet, develop skills with that tool and all of these different platforms, and then through those tools and a mindset of public and permanent, build a portfolio, a footprint, a legacy I will be proud of. If that is our mindset in the digital world, then you can use any form of technology you want. The name of the app doesn't matter. It's always going to change. And they're going to be amazing with it. Next time somebody says to you, don't worry about this, only my friends will see, do this activity. I do this to younger kids all the time, and I ask older kids to teach it. I say, hey, what's the definition of the word social? If I'm a social person, younger kids say social people are outgoing, they talk a lot, they share a lot, great. Then I say, well, what's the definition of the word private? If I'm a private person, they say private people keep to themselves, don't talk a lot, don't share a lot, great. And then I say, okay, so social and private, by definition, they complete opposites, and they say, yeah. So when somebody says to you, don't worry about this, only our friends will see, ask them this question. If social and private by definition are complete opposites, why are there so many humans that expect something called privacy and something called social media?
That, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the most important questions that we could be asking our kids. Because at the end of the day, if you think about every single person that you're aware of that's gotten into trouble with technology, my money says
is because they put something into a world of communication they didn't want communicated. And so it's really important that we help them think about that. But it's also important, you know, when speed and convenience goes up and privacy goes down, one of the things that we really have to help our youth understand, and ourselves, but really we have to help our youth understand because they're more impulsive, is that when speed and convenience goes up and privacy goes down, it doesn't just make it faster for us to affect ourselves, but it makes it faster for us to affect each other as well. And so as we have the ability to just point, shoot, and post, we need other people to be thinking about us, and vice versa. We need to be thinking about them. For example, if I see somebody at a party, right? Let's say you want to go to a party, you want to go to a wedding, you want to go to the beach, you want to go on vacation. Maybe your children want to go to a party with their friends and have fun, go off with their team and have fun. They want to go to a cast party because they just did a school play. And we want our kids and ourselves to just be human. And we don't want to have them to have to worry about somebody else at that party seeing what they're doing and being like, hey, what you're doing right now is hysterical. If we want them to stop and think first, you know what you're doing at this party is hysterical. But if I take a picture of you and put you online right now, can I get you thrown out of school, thrown off the team, cost you a scholarship, cost you a job, cost you your family, your friends, your reputation, your legacy, everything? Would you want what I'm about to do to you made public and permanent? If we want other people to think that way as we go out into the world, right? Before we just get pictures taken of us or take pictures of other people, if we want them to have that mindfulness and that empathy for us as speed and convenience goes up, then it's really up to us to set that tone and set that mindset. You know, there was a teacher who came up to me one time after a presentation, and he said he was doing karaoke night in Atlantic City. And an ex-girlfriend of his, he hadn't talked to her in years, messaged him and said, hey, great job at karaoke in Atlantic City last night. And he came up to me to say, how in the world does this woman who I hadn't spoken to in years know that I was doing karaoke in Atlantic City over a holiday weekend? And it's because somebody was on there videoing him and put it on social media. If we want to be human, and I'll go into this in greater detail next week when I talk to students, but if we want to just be human, they want to just be human, and we don't want other people just putting us online because all they have to do is snap a photo super fast to do it. We really do have to install this thought system, this mindfulness, this empathy, because our ability to affect others is becoming faster, just as fast as our ability to affect ourselves. And so it's a vital thought system that we try and employ or deploy into the minds of our kids when they're younger. And just as a kind of an aside, I know some of you have got some great questions and some things in the texts, and trust me, I'm going to get to all of them. You know, another question I'll often ask children, especially, and adults, when I see them taking pictures of other people, right, where I know they're going to take a picture of a room I'm in, please feel free to remember these two questions. I tell people all the time, remember these two questions if somebody goes to take a picture of you or your family, maybe your grandchildren or you, and you don't think that a picture is necessary. I ask these two questions. Question one, why was the camera invented? What is the fundamental reason that humans take pictures? To make what? You know what everybody says to me? Memories. I agree. But question two, and far more important, if the camera was invented for making memories, why are there so many humans taking pictures of things, whether it's themselves or other people? They definitely don't want remembered, using tools that were built for remembering. This is an incredibly important concept to start putting into the mind of the next generation. You know, when you see a commercial for a phone these days, what do they talk about most? Probably the camera, right? Cameras are becoming more powerful, cameras are becoming faster, and they're becoming clearer. And so if we don't want other people putting our face or our kids' face or our grandkids' face online without first asking, well, if we want to change, that change has to start somewhere. And that change starts with you. Now, one of the reasons that kids will take pictures that they don't necessarily want future generations to see is because they're impulsive, right? Our kids and our grandkids are impulsive. Why? Because their brain has to be 25 to 27 years old to think long-term. But we've put a device in their hand where in just 1 second, they can do something that will stay with them forever, positively or negatively. And so what we need to do is help them think beyond the moment. There was a question about, as grandparents, how do we get involved in our grandkids' lives without stepping on the toes of our children or their grandparents' grandchildren? How do we get involved in our grandkids' lives without hurting our children, right? Like the child's parent. And I get that. Well, this is one of the ways that you can do it. You know, to get our kids to think beyond the moment is not something that can be done one time. It's not going to be one conversation. So here's an activity that I use all the time. Go to YouTube. if you're a grandparent, have your kids go to YouTube, or have your grandkids go to YouTube. And if you're a parent watching this, have your kids go to YouTube. Go to ancestry.com and pull up a video and watch a video. When you're done watching a video for ancestry.com, ask your child or your grandchild this question. What do you want the next generation of our family to know about you when they go to this far more powerful site to do a project called the family tree? Remind them that these sites exist because today we get excited if we find a black and white photo of where we come from. We get excited if we find any speck of information about our lineage, a document signed by a relative. Where did we come from? What is our lineage? What is our heritage? We want to know that, and we have very limited data to find. Explain to them that future generations will not have limited data to find. They will have far more powerful technology than a human today could even fathom. The new iPhone is already outdated. We are still in our infancy of where we're headed. And just as we get excited if we find that black and white photo, future generations will want to know that about us. We will be one of the most heavily researched generation of humans to ever walk this planet, because we are the very first humans to use the tools that changed it. We are the humans alive at the dawn of the digital age, where we saw AI, artificial intelligence, not just be born, but change everything. We are the first humans. Your children and grandchildren will be the first ones to drop into what's called the alternate reality, or the metaverse. Just as we look back on the first people to space, we will be the first people into the alternate reality, the metaverse. You already see it. They're wearing their Oculus, right? Going into a completely different reality. And as the first humans to use these technologies, as the digital forefathers for every generation of your family that comes next, we are leaving behind information for them to find. So explain to your children, your grandchildren, and if you're a grandparent, explain to your children, what do you want the next generation of our family to know about us as the first digital arm of that family tree? And if you can continuously do that and continuously have that conversation, just pull it up once in a while as an activity. Maybe you'll see the commercial on television. I've seen a lot of them lately on streaming platforms. Take that as an opportunity, as a reminder. Even if they get annoyed, use it as a reminder, because they're listening and they will think about that. You know, a lot of people say, what would you do if your mom or your grandmom was over your shoulder? There's a lot of people out there who don't have that, so they don't care. But if you get them to think beyond the moment and about what their future and their what might be ahead of them, then they start to do care. They do care a little bit. This right here, this mindset should never be a negative. It should always be a positive. What I tell people is, if you see this as a negative, if your mindset is, oh my goodness, what if this becomes public and permanent? You are literally setting yourself up for a challenge. That is literally like fooling around with fire. This is supposed to be a positive, because this mindset gives every human great power. At the start of the program, I said this. I said it multiple times. When humans first discovered fire, people got hurt. When people get hurt, people get scared. I know a lot of parents and grandparents who are terrified of technology. Why? Because before your kids and grandkids were even born, you've seen people getting hurt in the digital world. But once we established a thought system called playing with fire can burn, and we're not new at this, it was established a long time ago, we passed it down and we ingrained it in people's minds. So this could be a lighter, a candle, or a book of matches. It does not matter what the tool is. When I light this, we all instinctually understand how to harness its power, and that understanding gives us power. It helps us use this to our advantage and keep other people's risks low. And that is what's on your mind, on your screen for the 21st Century Flame. Employing that mindset, reinforcing that mindset, not as, oh my gosh, what if that happens, but are you making that work for you? That will help you help your children do incredible things and employ the right mindset. Tools and apps will always change, but the mindset a human applies to the power of a tool is what matters. And if we can help them understand that through reinforcement and help them use that mindset through reinforcement, then just like playing with fire can burn became instinctual over time, so will this. I could sit here all day and I could show you people who have done amazing things with technology, and I'll close out by telling you a story before I get to your questions. But the one thing I do want to make very clear is this, and I alluded to it earlier. If your children ever do come to you, or your grandchildren ever do come to you with a problem, please don't yell. Take a deep breath and understand that took great courage. Then we want to try and solve the problem. And I'm going to tell you what I tell every kid that comes to me with a problem. Thank you for telling me. If you don't tell me, I can't help you. So let's take a look at it. Let's learn from it, and let's pray it isn't catastrophic. The goal is to help them learn from that mistake. And then what I tell every kid is, all right, and right now we're going to clear the slate. Starting right now, you make 1, 2, 5 years of amazing decisions in the digital world. Even if somebody does in a background check find what you did on your time and your dime, but they see years of incredible and responsible decision making from that mistake, you're probably not going to have a problem, right? Because everybody makes mistakes. That's why adults say, thank God this wasn't around when they were growing up. But it's also important that you're very honest with your children and your grandchildren and help them understand that 1, 2, 5 years of repeated abuse with one of the most powerful tools on the planet, it will be very hard to open a window of opportunity, because when speed and convenience goes up and privacy goes down, that means PR nightmares are harder to hide because there's greater transparency. And so it's going to be very difficult when we're in a global environment competing in a world where technology eliminated space and time. But as I said, I have seen kids do incredible things with technology. They've just done incredible things. And if you want to motivate your child or your grandchild to truly understand the power they wield, I encourage you to look up Josh Jacobs. For those of you, and I'll show you an article with him in a minute. For those of you who don't know who Josh Jacobs is, Josh Jacobs was homeless in middle school and high school. He literally lived in the middle of this country with 5 of his siblings and his father in a suburban. So here's a kid who probably nobody knew about, and frankly, probably nobody even cared about. He was in the middle of this country. Nobody knew him. Now, as Josh got older, he played sports, and your kids or grandkids might be great at academics, at music, at theater. You can be great at different things. He just happened to be good at football. And there was a guy out of, I believe, Texas, who saw Josh play football and said, Josh, you need to put your game film online. I'm going to get you recruited. Josh's response, I don't have social media. I want you to think back to the cyber cruelty piece of this presentation, where you had a coach telling you, you're right, 10, 15 times, get off social media. This is the complete opposite of that. This is, hey, you need to get some and you have to make it work for you. So Josh got Twitter. He put his game film on Twitter. And within 48 hours, he had 10 calls a day coming in from schools. One of them was Alabama. Shortly after he got drafted by Alabama, he became the running back. He got drafted into the NFL by the Oakland, now Las Vegas Raiders. He just played the other night on Monday Night Football. And very recently, this young man, who not that long ago was homeless, bought his dad a house. Ladies and gentlemen, how is it possible that a young man who is living in a suburban in the middle of this country, homeless, winds up in the NFL buying his dad a house in that short period of time? How is it possible that can happen to a human today and not happen that fast 70, 80 years ago? That can happen to people today because we have tools that connect us to a planet, and we have wisdom to show the planet how beautiful we can be. You can put a 13-year-old in a car and they're going to tell you gas means go and brake means stop and wheel means turn, but that doesn't mean they have the wisdom to understand how to drive that automobile. They have to go through lessons, right? They have to be taught the wisdom to understand that they are driving a weapon. They are driving something that gives them incredible power. And that is what is on the screen right here. Your child or grandchild can take this and turn on any game and any app and within 2 minutes understand how to use it. But just like the car, they have the front end technology, the front end knowledge. Doesn't mean they have the back end wisdom yet. That's our job. Our job is to teach them and reinforce that wisdom. And that wisdom is on your screen. Every one of you watching this and every one of your children and your grandchildren have tools or will have tools that connect them to the planet through time. Please explain to them when they turn this on, their gaming system on, if they have Wi-Fi, if they have data, they're not connected to their city, their state, their school, their country. You're connected to the entire planet. Help them understand that gravity and help them use this mindset to show this planet every day how beautiful they can be. Help them use it to write a history and a legacy about themselves. They will one day be proud to show their kids, your grandkids and great grandkids. They'll be proud to show them that. And they'll be proud when their kids and grandkids get off the bus and they say, hey, Mom, Pops, check out the class project I did about you when I looked you up on Ancestry.com and I saw all that stuff you put on the web back in the day. Help run them, ask them once in a while, hey, what are you creating out there? What's the latest trend in social media? What's new out there? What should I know about? What's funny? You can ask your child that. They might love that you're taking an interest. Ask them what is out there that's being made public and permanent. What I like to say is when you leave here tonight, please remember that mindset. Please be a role model and teach that mindset. Please remember to reinforce with your children this mindset and help them use that every day to rock the world.